over here.
I'm gonna start recording this as well because we're gonna get started here in a sec. Still a bunch of people in the waiting room that I'm pushing through.
We need to get an intern, someone to help us out over here. Get us get this thing in order.
A Zoom intern?
Yeah. But that's what makes these fun.
I think that's kind of me.
Oh, okay. Is that Spear? Do I see Spear?
Let's go.
Yeah, there's my man.
Yeah, man.
Let's see. I'm
See the
gonna do some
mustache
sharing
going? I'm trying to
over
catch up to your beard, buddy.
I see. What happened in I guess No Shave November, whatever it is, No Shave November, you just kept it going, huh?
Kept it going. Yep, I'm gonna keep it going until Christmas. Then
My
my
man.
Christmas present to my wife is I'll shave it off.
There you go.
I like it in the beard though, man. It's coming in good. Retirement's looking good on you.
I'm trying.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just tuning in, feel free to keep your camera on, off, whatever is easier. Ideally, if you can just stay muted kind of for the short term. We're going to get started here in a second. Thanks for being prompt. It only lets me add a few people here at a time. So give us like one more minute. We'll kind of get started. We'll do a little quick spiel open for a minute or two, and then we'll get on with the topic.
All right. Just over here sharing away, and I'll be back in 1 second.
Go ahead. All right. Well, folks will come in as they come in. We'll kind of get this thing started just so we're not, we're here for like an hour or so. Don't want to keep anybody much longer than that. So my name is Jason Balin, and my business partner Chris Haddon and I are from Hard Money Bankers. We co-run this meetup group with Ian Horowitz from Equity Warehouse and his partner Dan Matthey. Ian, I'm not sure if Dan's on here or not. So we've been doing this meetup group now for, I don't know, going 10 years. We used to be at local bars and restaurants. Now, until kind of further notice, we are virtual. Hopefully that changes and we can kind of all meet up here soon. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what everyone's 2022 goals are. Obviously, that wish to share tonight, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but I certainly look around this room and I see a lot of successful real estate investors. And one common trait that a lot of them have is not necessarily that they're action takers, but that they all have or had specific goals that they wanted to hit and an action plan in place that's helped them implement those goals on a regular basis. If you don't have any goals, then you don't typically really have a game plan. And it's really hard to be a successful real estate investor or business person if you don't have a goal or a game plan in mind. And creating a clear game plan and goal setting is actually a lot easier than one might think. I'll tell you kind of two real quick stories. One of our first business coaches years ago that we had taught us all about goal setting and creating an action plan and stuff like that. And, we started with long-term goals, which looking back were actually very realistic. Although at the time, most goals seem very unrealistic because, you think of this big goal and it's going to take so long to hit. But when you break them down, let's say a 10-year goal, you break down to what needs to be done in 5 years or 2 years or 1 year or 6 months or a month or a few weeks from now, or even tomorrow, it actually ends up being a lot more realistic and doable. And, at this time we had a really lofty goal for our lending company, Hard Money Bankers, and it was a 10-year goal that we felt was huge. And we actually hit it in about 3.5 years. And I know a lot of people on this call have actually very similar stories to that. And they look back now and they're like, I couldn't imagine that I'd be where I am today, compared to where I started, just because they had goals in place and a clear game plan in place. And, it's funny, Ian and I were just talking about someone that we knew from one of our mastermind groups, and he just closed on a really large house on the water in Florida. And it's something that he's been talking about forever buying. We heard the story multiple times, and it wasn't necessarily a business goal, but it was a personal goal of his. And maybe it was a dream, maybe it was a goal, but he put this thing in place and he strived to hit it on a regular basis. Again, it started with a big goal, a goal that he never thought he would ever hit. And he did the block and tackle stuff regularly. he had a picture of this big house in Florida on his screensaver, pictures on the wall all over his office, and it just continued to remind him of what he wanted. So anyways, we're all looking forward to whoever's sharing tonight. Definitely looking forward to that. If you're not sharing, again, that's okay. I think a lot of people are going to get value from just listening to other folks sharing and potentially, being, related to that person and say, you know what, I like that goal. I think I can relate to that. Maybe that's something I should implement. Also, if you're just not sure what your 2022 goals are, that's fine as well. Maybe just hearing others will help trigger some of your goals. The benefit of all of us publicly sharing some of these things is we're actually kind of calling each other out on this, and it's just a good way to hold yourself accountable. So I kind of like that little accountability hack. I mean, if you've ever seen anyone post on social media of, hey, I want to lose a certain amount of weight over a certain period of time, or I want to buy my first rental property over the next 12 months, great accountability hack. So again, everyone, little bragging on Ian real quick, everyone thought it was unrealistic that him and his partner, Dan, just a few years ago only owned a few properties, and now they've skyrocketed and own a few hundred properties locally, along with some gigantic storage facilities, some office buildings, some apartment buildings. They created some real big lofty goals, and they worked backwards and they were able to hit it. So, your small daily things turn into massive things before you know it, and they move very, very quickly. So I know Ian wants to say something in a second, but what we're going to do while Ian's talking is, if you do want to share your goal inside Zoom, you can raise your hand as an admin. I'm not 100% sure how to do it, but
reactions.
Yeah. Okay. So go to reactions and raise your hand in Zoom. And by doing so, we'll kind of go through everybody who wants to share. We also have about 30 goals here of people that filled out the form ahead of time. So, we can kind of go through some of those as well if everyone wants. But, hoping whoever wants to, obviously is going to have the opportunity to share. I think kind of that will kind of go a long way. And, if there's one in particular topic or someone that shares and it can spark a good conversation for all of us, I think we can kind of go in that direction as well and dig in, and hopefully that will benefit everybody.
Yeah, and as Jason said, we're going to jump into it here shortly. As you guys see, I like the banter in the chat. This relates to all of it. Obviously, take your time, concentrate where you want to concentrate. But if you guys want, put over in the chat who you are, where you're from, what you're looking to invest in, and maybe even take the time to write out your goal. I don't know if anyone saw my Facebook Live right before this. We had some interesting news coming to our family. I'm okay. My wife and kids are good, but there was some interesting news that came in, and it made me stop and think. Like, what's your legacy? How does that relate to your goals? 2022 is coming up. We spent a lot of time executing in 2020 and 2021. What does 2022 look for us? What does 2030 look for us? We just started investing. When you really think about it on a time horizon, not even 7 years ago, look where we are today. What does the next 7 years hold? And we've been talking a lot about this on our podcast recently, both Jason and I, and me and Dan, and I know Jason and Chris talk about it a lot. Just so you guys know, for me, and I'll share my goal here in a second, but I'm a visualization guy, manifestor, whatever you want to call. You got crystals, you got or morning routine, you got whatever it may be. All these different things ultimately allow you to be successful, right? And do I get in the corner, sit down, light candles, sing Kumbaya and do the whole meditation thing? No, but what I do is take the time to write down, well, if I wanted 100 houses, what does that take? What does it look like? I was walking with somebody today past one of the first houses we ever bought, and I was laughing at him. I said, just a few years ago, I talked about trying to buy this whole neighborhood. I was so amped up. And it's funny how your goals change also over time. But, it's just interesting to see where we've come from, where we're going, and how powerful it is to take the time to pause and write down your goals. And I know there's a lot of guys and gals in this room who come from other communities that they concentrate on these things. And I think we can all share a lot of information with each other and help each other out, hold accountability, and even work through some goals. So to jump right into it, how it's going to work is, like Jason said, just raise your hand or put it over in the chat that you want to jump on and say what your goal is. Putting it out in the universe goes a long way. So for me, for our 2022 goal, specifically, Dan and I, for our business, we spent 2020 and 2021 buying a lot of stuff. Now 2022 is the year of execution, refining operations, staying opportunistic in the marketplace, but refining what we do well every single day. And that's what we're going to concentrate on 2022 and our direct goal. We achieved a lot of our goals over the past 2 years. Now it's a little reflection time. I guess, like Jason likes to say, it's kind of defense time. We went out, played offense for a while. Now it's time to do a little defense. And my other specific goal for our company is to ramp up some of our marketing, as you guys will see over the next few months. Hopefully I stick with it. If you guys don't see me making any posts, please hold me accountable and say, hey, where's your post? You said you're going to do marketing. Like, come on, man, put it out there. And it means a lot when we get feedback from you guys. So that's what our 2022 goal is. Jason, I don't know if you want to hit yours, or if there's any hands up. Let's get at it.
Yeah, let's go through some people. I'll certainly share, some of mine here in a second. Yeah, so if anyone wants to start, feel free to raise their hand. Inside the reactions, we'll start with Scott. I see his hand up. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. When I saw Ian's post about 2022 goals, I really hadn't defined one yet. And I came up with one. I said, I want to stuff $200,000 in my Roth IRA tax-free in 2022. I'm up in that. I want to put in $250,000 tax-free into my Roth IRA this year through real estate transaction, wholesale deals, and ATM services. So that's my goal.
Any specific kind of, so let's say that's your 1 year goal to get that done. Any specific things that you kind of are starting to do over the, come into January that will help quick start that?
Yeah, I'm working with a couple of wholesalers on self-storage units to find some good deals. I'm being a little more selective on my deals too when it comes to self-storage. In 2020 and 2021, I was kind of jumping on a lot of deals, but I'm being a lot more selective and finding ones with a bigger growth opportunity and the highest and best use of my time. So right now, we're real close to having a couple under contract that I may wholesale out, or I may close on them and then hotel them out instead. So that's my plan.
Yeah, I mean, we got involved, and Scott, I'm sure you're okay with putting it out there, but like a prime example is we just did a small deal down in Semmes, Alabama. There's a few people in this room that are involved on that. We got in to do the deal, and we're going to do a quick flip, and hopefully that helps you towards your goal of your 250 tax-free. Have you spent any more time thinking about how many transactions you think it would take to hit that goal? Or are you just kind of working through it now?
Working through it now, but I think that 5 transactions will do it.
Yeah, that's
2021. I did set some goals beginning of 2021, and I, not bragging, but I exceeded a lot of them. And I had to really think about that. I set my goals maybe a little bit too low. So when you hear yourself talk about it, okay, instead of 200,000, now it's $250,000. I'm going to get there for sure. I have no doubt. So, and that's why I just keep telling myself.
And since I got you, and I see another hand going up, but they waited a second, so I get to beat up on you for one more second. Yep. When you do set your goals, how do you work through that? Like, do you pick a life goal, a monetary goal, a physical goal, or are you just like, yeah, this is kind of what I'm feeling, this is what I'm going to run with over the next 12 months?
Yeah, for me, it's been monetary goals have been the big ones, but now it's more life goals and health goals too. So I do definitely have some health goals I want to accomplish in 2022. I just have to define those a little bit more. And being in an RV full time, now that we're back to being in an RV full time, the fitness aspect of it and all, I have to come up with a better fitness plan for being in the RV full time.
Nice.
Well, I just break it down into little pieces. It's, eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So I just had to figure out, okay, to get to that 250 goal, I'm thinking 5 transactions will do it. It may take 8 transactions instead. So.
Yep. No, that makes sense. We appreciate you sharing, and hopefully you talking about it now will help resonate with you. And when you watch the replay, you can go back through exactly what you said. So we appreciate that, Scott. Graylin, did you have your hand up? I think. Might have to unmute yourself or
yes, I did.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks. So this is my second time and one of these virtual meetups. I'm a real estate agent in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and I constantly, or not constantly, but pretty regularly come across deals or properties that would be great for off-market cash buyers. I currently have one serious investor that I refer things to, and they can't always take everything on. And lately, the criteria has gone up as far as like what spread they're looking for. So, which is $200,000. So I'm looking for like 2 to 3 investors that, you know, or more. I mean, whatever. I just want to be able to refer these properties out, either for my clients to sell them directly to somebody, or for to end up and then have an arrangement where basically I am getting the property for you and then listing it on the other side. That's all I want out of the deal.
Yeah, so I guess like one question I have, and I might pick on Terry here because he was very good at finding buyers, but I'll ask you a question before I don't want to just give anyone answers, right? But I would say, what do you think that you could do differently, or what could you add to your repertoire inside your marketing game to say, you know what, if I just did this, then maybe a few other people would reach out to me. I mean, just by putting your name in the chat, we already got Drury reaching out saying, hey man, let's connect, dropping your email. Is there something like that you can do on a regular basis?
Yeah, my goal is to show up to things like this, virtual and in person, as I see them come up. I have been around for a while in real estate for 20 years. I'm 41. I know I might not look like I've been around for 20 years. Maybe I do. But I've also bought properties myself and done the renovations, but it's not, it's hard to have to do it all, you know, like you kind of got to focus on different areas. So my goal is to meet more people, like all the people that are here in these groups.
Hey, Terry, do you mind unmuting yourself? Because I want to ask you, maybe you can help Graylin out. When you were wholesaling a lot of houses, I know you would like to do Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives. Did that bring you any buyers or sellers? I'm sorry, guys. Sounds like Santa Claus is going by in the fire truck behind me. Very fitting. But Terry, how did like doing Facebook Lives and stuff like that work for you, you know, attracting buyers?
It worked great, but I already had a network of people. Like I was kind of trying to create like a pre-buzz of marketing before I put the property out and kind of like push. I guess my question to Graylin would be, what is your average commission on your DC deals now? Because they're going to want bigger spreads. Like you might be able to do lower volume, but kind of finding the sweet spot there.
Yeah, so generally it's, I mean, I'll just generally speaking with investors, if you bought the property with me and I received the commission on the buy side on that transaction, then I would do anywhere from 1.5% to 2% on the other side.
Actually a good value proposition, considering that the property is going to be worth more on the back side than the front side. It's actually a unique way to do it.
Yeah, it's go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'd like, I mean, Ian kind of touched on it earlier, just reverse engineer it. I mean, if you've only got, the thing I found is when you have 1 or 2 buyers, you need as many buyers as possible, and then boil down who's your most serious. Because when people like Ian were my only buyer, you know, he'd come and he'd juice me, take all the juice out of the deal. But if you can find guys that have looser criteria, you know, maybe they want to make 50 grand or 100 grand, you can sell them deals. You know, you don't necessarily need to get rid of your old guys, but
yeah, not at all. I mean, I've been working with this one investor for a long time, and it has gotten to that point where it's like, you know, the company that I work for charges a $395 fee, which I can't. It legitimately comes out of my commission, right? Like it's not just like some fluff. It is a fluff fee for them, but not for me. So, you know, it's like I'm getting nickel and dimed on these deals, and I'm presenting opportunities of huge opportunities to this person. So I'd like to have some other people that I can then say,
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
another potential idea, since you're not shy to jump on video and camera and things like that, is maybe do either on a per deal basis or a weekly basis, just like, DC discounted deals, or I don't know, something like that. And it's like, hey, everybody, I'm Graylin. I just want to tell you kind of all the upcoming deals, hot DC deals that are coming, and kind of create scarcity that way. I mean, even if you only have a few viewers or a few followers to start with, and potentially create some sort of database from that, right? Because then some of these buyers that they might have one or two buyers, but those buyers might be like, oh, well, Graylin's got a lot of buyers, so I don't want to miss out on this other opportunity, because then, he's going to go to these, kind of go down the road and choose from somebody else. So I think it's a good kind of way to just get in front of everybody and show that you're the expert down there. And I mean, we all know that DC is very competitive.
No
Obviously,
quotations.
Size.
No quotations. I am the expert.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, another good idea is, considering Jason's on here, is maybe reach out to him and say, hey, you have any buyers that would buy this? And, because he funds,
I know a lot of buyers in DC. Yep.
He funds deals, so we appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean,
we appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, I mean, typically, if you want to, on the right opportunity, I'm happy to take a look at it and let you know who I think would be a good fit for it. Because again, not everybody wants everything, right? Someone might only want to be higher end stuff. Someone, might only want to be, big construction projects in Deanwood, while other people don't want to be in Deanwood.
And so, yeah, I was going to say, sometimes it's the neighborhood. Sometimes people are like, I don't want to be there, or I want to, only want to be in this spot. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, everybody, and I'll follow up with whoever I see in the chat.
Nice.
Speaking of which, Matt McDavid, I know you are around here somewhere, and I know you submitted in on the Google form, so that's why I wanted to call you out a little bit. So we appreciate it. So if you want to jump on here and share what your goal is, and see if we can help you out and get you pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, and it might have even changed. So hi everybody, Matt McDavid. I'm local in the Baltimore area. I'd say the big thing for me is stop standing on the sidelines and take action. I've used my corporate job as an excuse. I have a pretty good job, but I think it's made me complacent. So I need to step out of my comfort zone. And I think this is kind of the first step in doing that, and really surround myself with people that are building businesses. So what that looked like for me was initially saying, hey, I want to buy at least 2 properties, maybe 5 properties, but I think it's just networking and again, kind of trying to step outside of my comfort zone and stop using my job as an excuse and build a business, because if I don't start now, I'm never going to do it.
Well, since I personally know you and you got involved in our last deal, I'm going to call you out straight up. I mean, you got to the office and you immediately took action. And I know it's not because of me and Dan. I mean, you did that. So like, what do you think the real roadblock is? It's easy to say your job or something else. Like, what do you think it is? There's no immediate requirement to do that, or like, hey, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Like, what could you do different tomorrow to switch that out?
I mean, I think I need to network better. So like, I've spent a lot of time lately on my end, like, it's building out files for me to understand how to analyze a deal and understand the numbers. And now it's actually finding a deal. It's not an issue with capital or construction, which I think's hurdles for most people. It's me, I think, not having analysis paralysis and pulling the trigger, and networking with the right people that are doing these things while working a full-time job.
Let me ask you one other question, if you don't mind, because, a lot of folks, they obviously, sometimes it's hard to wrap your brain around getting started, but it also based on what you want to do. Like, have you figured out, or do you know what you want to do? Like, I don't know how you set it up with Ian, but I guess you invested in one of syndications. So you're obviously willing to part with money to get into a deal. Like, is that the direction you want to be in? Or do you want to be a full service operator? Do you want to buy a rental property and have someone self-manage it or manage someone else? I mean, a big part of it takes so long. I think a lot of us starting out dabbled in so many things. Like, I owned rental properties, I flipped properties, I invest in other stuff, I did hard money loans. I just like deploying the capital and not operating. That's what works best for me. That doesn't necessarily, Ian's probably the opposite. Ian wants to put in all the sweat equity himself. So I think different people have different things. Like, have you wrapped your brain around, what ideally you would want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I've always leaned towards rental. So I own one property. I've flipped a house, but I've always leaned towards rentals more for like passive income, and then trying to build that system where, you have a property manager in place. I have contractor in place, but obviously building that equity through appreciation with, construction. So that's kind of always the way that I've leaned. I honestly didn't really know about other avenues until someone introduced me into Ian and Dan. And, I saw that as an opportunity for me with money just sitting in the bank to make money.
Sure.
Yeah,
So-
and part of the problem is though, like, and we talked about this last month, like people looking to do their first deal, and the way to do it is the way the market is right now. It's where everyone just seems like everyone feels like up, right? I think with the Fed coming out today, maybe there's a little soft in the market. Now's the time to start gearing up. This is where you do want to set your goals. And I think your goal of you want to try to do 2 houses in 2022. I mean, if you break that down, that's one every 6 months. I think that's very achievable in the short term if you really take the time to look at it. So
well, why don't we do this? Is that what you want to officially say verbally is your goal? Two houses by the end of 2022. So if we do a follow-up to this, we can hold you accountable for it.
Yeah.
well, you got to say it. I mean, me and Jason
I mean,
said it, but now you
houses,
literally
yeah.
got to say it.
2 houses in 2022. And I mean, yeah, I think it's very obtainable.
You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks.
Well,
Cool.
we appreciate you sharing, man. And hopefully, again, like we said to Scott and everybody else that's shared so far, like when you go back and rewatch this, it might sound dumb right now. You're like laughing it off, but like when you go back and look at it, you'll be like, man, I didn't even realize what I said. Okay, that makes more sense to me. So definitely take the time to go back and rewatch this. It's not a sales pitch. Yeah. And then like legitimately go and look. I see Foster's hands up. Hopefully he's not working tonight and can give us his full time. Aaron, you there? Or
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, buddy?
that you said over in the chat. Aaron.
That's right. Aaron. So hang on. I'll turn this video on in a second. There we go. So I'm in my new acquisition over in Ocean Pines in Ocean City, Maryland. Sold 3 houses this year. I'm about to list another one. I spent the year reallocating assets, selling stuff. 2022, I'm going to try to ramp up marketing. I'm not a big marketer. It's never been my forte. I do 1 to 5 houses a year. I'd like to increase that. I do want to transition to commercial. I'm probably going to 1031 a sale that I'm going to list soon. And I'm working with a new tax strategist as of today. That's what I got going on.
Nice.
Why did you think your tax strategy had to be a part of your goals? I mean, there's a lot of people on here new and advanced. So I'm just interested to hear how your 2022 goal revolves around your tax strategy, just out of curiosity.
So if you look at the average person in the U.S., they take about 40% of our income. And I'm a firefighter in DC. That's my full-time W-2 job. They take a lot of money from us, as you probably know, since you just left that. That with the real estate investments, anything short term, you're gonna pay about 40%. Anything long term, short term is a 40% Uncle Sam takes, and then your earned income rate of 22 to 24%. They're gonna take from you if it's a long term investment. So that's why I'm 1031 options. I'm 1031ing another deal soon. So that's just a way to save money and put it back in my pocket. Any little bit could help, right?
Yeah, I think one of the things, as you conceptualize your goal, I know me and Jason have talked about it a few times, but like you're kind of in your second cycle, right? Like you did a lot of good investing the first round, and now it's like, okay, well, I've learned. And is one of your goals to get into commercial real estate? Like you've got all these assets that you can now unload, be tax advantage, and maybe get to the what you consider to be the next level, right?
Yeah. So we talked about this, a week or so ago, is like what's next. And like I've done a bunch of real estate, I've done a bunch of residential. I got 2 commercial properties. Now it's just a matter of like what's next, because it's you want to hedge your bets and see what you can get the most, maximize your growth. And I think growth for us is going to be commercial.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to ask you because you spend a lot of time on like let's call it the quirky stuff, right? Like you're always looking at different investment asset classes. You're always into the tax strategy stuff. Like when you're setting your goals, like how does it work? Like what's your process? Just I guess is what I'm getting at. Because you do always have some unique ideas, and I'm interested to hear what your process in setting your goals are.
So it's best use of time and the maximum profit for the time you allocate towards a thought process or a process you want to get into. So I mean, I look at anything from castles to lighthouses. You guys know that. So what makes the most sense? What's going to be the most return for right now? So the house I'm sitting in right now is a quality of life purchase. It wasn't a profit purchase. I should still turn a profit of about $30,000 a year on this one, but at the same time, like I want to have a place to get away to with me and the wife and the family. So when I look at deals, it has to be the quality of life purchase, a business decision. I know Terry, he bought a property up in Rehoboth and lifted the entire house up, 10, 15 feet, and that was a quality of life purchase for him too. So like, look, it just really depends on what the asset class is going to be. So when we talked last week, I'm hoping to move about $200,000 into a new deal, a 1031 deal. But now I got to figure out what asset class I want to put that in. So I've been looking at, new ideas for the area.
Have you done any 1031s yet, or will this be your first?
Yeah, this will be my third.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, because most of your stuff are longer term plays. I mean, I know you did like a few flips, but the majority of the stuff has been long term plays. And yeah, I mean, it's keep up in asset classes or keep up into anything that can outperform the current cash flow. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So short-term rentals is appealing. Commercial's appealing. Obviously, triple net's most hands off you can get, so that's going to be appealing. We were just up in Delaware a little while ago, and I was looking at the neighborhood of one of the properties I'm interested in, but it's a single tenant property that's for the most part COVID proof. But at the same time, it's like I'm not going to dump $200,000 into a single asset where I can make money, a higher return, doing something else. It's only a 7% cap rate.
Nice.
So that's my goals: is marketing, commercial strategies, and moving money and reallocating.
All right. Well, hopefully we see some marketing efforts out of you. We'll hold you accountable.
Now that I know you have a golf course in your office, I might come up there and hang out with you guys for once.
It's fine. Bring your iPhone. Start taking some videos. Or we should probably take videos of you so we can, some laugh about it, I guess.
Yeah, we can put it on bloopers because I'm freaking terrible, bro. I'm terrible.
Come on down. We have a whole recording studio in there too. So if you ever need to use it to record videos, feel free.
Oh, my whole rap career.
Yeah.
Profitable videos. They have to be money-making videos.
Yeah. 2022 goal. I'll watch that one. But thanks, Aaron. We appreciate that, man. Look forward to your success and following up with how 2022 goal goes. Jason, would you say Diana's next?
Yeah, Diana, I saw you raise your hand today. You took it down. If you want to raise it again and hop on, feel free. Chris, if you're on, why don't you share that Tony Robbins quote if you can? If you're on, if not, you send it to me. I can say it, but it was a pretty good quote. If you're in a place that you can share. Let's hop to, hold on. I saw someone raise their hand.
2022. Oh, Elena? Hopefully.
Elena, go ahead. You're unmuted.
Yes, Elena.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thanks.
Wonderful. I'm just going to take a goal of 2 properties this year and next year as well. So just a residential in Florida or possibly commercial. I'll look at both options. So I'm going around Christmas, New Year's, and we'll choose something what's there available. And one more property, perhaps California, we'll see. And at this point, I just, was being very ambitious, even though perhaps it doesn't need to be incredible returns. At this point, time will make me a genius. Just make something decent in terms of the choice and decision. That's what I'm looking to do. And because of its, for me, it's like more starting up. So I'm not just setting a goal to be a real estate genius and outperform everyone. So just something that will long-term create, will generate good growth. And that's what I'm aiming to do. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just going to say, I mean, I think you bring up a valid point in your goal of like, you need to define what's right for you, right? Some people in here need to squeeze every single penny out. Some people like Foster, you just said, I want to make a life purchase. So, really take time to consider that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will keep it in portfolio. So that's why I'm not aiming to make immediately great returns and look like a genius. So it's okay if as long as it long term, it would be a decent purchase and something to add into portfolio.
Yeah, I think that's why Warren Buffett, he's got one thing on all of us, and that's time, right? He invested way before us, whether it's stocks, real estate, it doesn't matter. Sam Zell, right? The real estate investor, he's been around forever. Warren Buffett, super rich man, been around forever. So when you're saying stand the test of time, you make the right purchase. You're absolutely right that you could go through that. So hopefully conceptualizing that goal helps you a lot, and just speaking about it here will make you think about it more and more every day.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. And because it helps other people inside this group too. Chris, you got your hand up? I see Chris has got his hand up, Jay.
Yep.
Yeah, can you hear me? Am I on?
Yes, sir.
You're on the mic.
All right. Hey guys. Yeah, Jason and I were chatting about this quote earlier, like towards the beginning of the call, that Tony Robbins says that most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10, right? And we've totally seen this. Like, you set goals for the year about this and that and numbers, and they tend to be a little, ambitious, maybe more so than they should be. Yet what you could do in 10, you hit way before 10 years. And we've seen that, right, Jay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So we were chatting about that quote before. I thought it was pretty applicable to this call tonight. And still, every year, like, we're resetting goals. We were whiteboarding today. And yeah, what it's going to look like 10 years into the future is way different than
Chris,
now.
Chris, can I ask you something? Because I know we all kind of think similarly, but like, you're there writing it out. Yeah, I'm going to do 50 deals this year. Even let's just take Matt and Elena's goal of 2 a year. And it might not seem like an overestimation to some of us because we've done real estate, but it might seem like a massive uphill battle for them. But in a 10-year period or a 2-year period, they could do two deals. When you're writing that goal down, how do you slow yourself down and get that 1-year goal into a longer term plan that makes a lot more sense to do it consistently, kind of like what Tony Robbins is saying, versus just trying to do it all at once?
Well, it's hard to do. It's hard to gauge both like this year's goals and the next 10. So when I was starting today, because it's the 15th of December and, working on 2022 stuff, I was just brainstorming. I was just like putting stuff on paper, or whiteboard in this case, in different lines of business, and seeing like what we want to look at, what it might look like, right? It's not firm yet. And there's no way to get it perfect this year or in 10, right? But I think that, starting out is the most important part, getting it down on paper, seeing what you want, seeing what's possible, and going from there. But there's no way to get it perfect, to be honest.
Ian, I think it's opposite. You always start at the end in mind and work backwards, right? Like I agree that some people just want to do a 1-year goal because they feel like it's more realistic. A 10-year goal should be absolutely outrageous. Think about where everybody was 10 years ago and then think about where they are today. I mean, that's so long ago, right? But 10 years from now is actually going to be a very short period of time. So something that should be almost unrealistic, that you think is almost unrealistic, and then work your way back. and work your way back on it. And, the way that things compound is if you have a 10-year goal, well, you don't need to be halfway there in 5 years. Doesn't really, work like that, right? Because with momentum, compound interest, everything else, it's.
So you're saying there would be a massive curve. So like 1
Massive.
year to 5 years might be slow, and then 5 to 7 might get faster, and then 7 to 10 will be insane.
I mean, do a compound interest calculator. It's something very, very similar, right? So let's say, you're trying to, I look at this as dollars and cents, and you can do this related to if you're lending money out, if you're flipping houses, if you're wholesaling houses, if you're buying rental properties. I personally look at stuff as rule of 72. So every 5 years, I try to double my money. I double my principal every 5 years, and you can do so if you're achieving about a 14.5% interest rate of return. Now, if anyone's an active real estate investor, they should be hitting those numbers, right? If they're passively investing with somebody else or through a syndication and they're getting 8% or something like that, then maybe not. But anyone that's actively investing should definitely be killing that, right? In general. But every 5 years, they should be doubling their money. Well, think about it. Year one, let's say it's 10 years, right? So year one's going to be slow, right? Because, let's say you start with 100 grand and then you end with $115,000, right? The next year gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So from year 1 to year 5, you go from 100 to 200. Well, the next 5 years, you're going from 200 to 400, right? So, as you can see, year one or the first segment, every year it's compounding, getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You follow that?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. And it's the same thing as a goal. The goal is just you're compounding your knowledge, your resources, your deals, your activity, your cash flow. It's the same thing. So like, if I start with $100,000 today and then whatever, and then I get to $1 million, well, my next 10 years worth of goals, I'm starting with $1 million, not 100,000. So percentage wise, it equals the same, but it ends up being such a larger number.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think the point that you brought up, and guys, like whatever, not whatever, but what Jason was just saying, if that resonates with you, drop something in the comments, or if you guys have any follow-up to that. But when you're saying set an outrageous 10-year goal, I think that's the one thing that it's really hard for all of us to fathom, to even make that goal. And I think that's why a lot of us put a lot of emphasis on goals from year 1 to 3, because it seems tangible, and year 10 doesn't seem tangible,
Go look at Warren. I mean, that graph. So if you look at the chat that Terry Royce just posted, click on that. It's the exact same graph of Warren Buffett's net worth, right? Like Warren Buffett, I mean, he made a lot of money, obviously, from the beginning. I mean, not, billions and billions. I mean, he made millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions, but like, he really didn't skyrocket until he was like in his 50s, right? Yeah. Because again, if you have $100,000 and you double that, you have $200,000, right? You got $1 million and you double it, you got $2 million, right? It's the same exact formula, same exact percentage. You're doubling your money, right? But on one side of it, you're making an extra $900,000.
Yeah.
Just because you start with the big. So it's the same thing. And I mean, that's the way that we look at everything that we're vested in. Like whenever we invest in real estate, our net worth should be increasing by at least 14 to 15% annualized. It's usually a lot more than that, but that's at least that, which means every 5 years we'll double. You'll double your and starting out, it should be significantly higher than that, because if you only have $40,000 of seed capital to do deals, like you don't want that to turn to $80,000 in 5 years from now. It's not nearly enough, obviously. But it's and obviously, just like anything else, active investments should make significantly higher rates of return than passive investments.
Correct. And Matt, I'll get to your comment here in a second, because I don't want us to hijack this, because me and Jason will talk all night. I know Magner, we'll get to you in a second. Randy's working on a medic unit in Philadelphia tonight, so I want to make sure we get to him before he gets a call. Randy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I actually just got off work, so I'm free and clear. So if you wanna go to the other guy, that's fine as well.
No,
so,
you're on. Let's go.
Okay, so my life's been kind of crazy in the last like 3 years. I was a lieutenant in Prince William County, Virginia, which is right outside DC. Took a pretty big pay cut to come to Philadelphia because it's closer to home, and I always wanted to work in a big city. So here I am. So I think my goal for this year is just kind of refocus on my personal budget and seeing what I need to do this year in order to be able to purchase something maybe in 2023. Also, hopefully be able to find a good mentor for the buying process and just explore some other options to earn some of that passive income. And maybe I'm not even that concerned about passive income, but more so creating some sort of secondary retirement through investments in whatever. I'm just basically trying to kind of like what you were talking about, Ian, just kind of like what am I leaving behind? What can I set up? How can I ensure that myself and future generations are set up? So
yeah, and again, we keep talking about, take the time to sit down and write it out, and you got an easy timeline to me, right? Because I come from that industry. How long you got to work in Philadelphia to receive your pension. So I would line up your goal sheet side by side. When I retire, I want X, right? So if in you guys 25-year retirement system or 30-year, whatever it is today, let's just say so you guys got a 25-year time horizon. Okay, well, in 25 years, I want to do
and what's nice
good.
What's nice about Philadelphia is I was able to buy back 8.5 years of service from Prince William. So currently I'm paying that back, which is a pretty penny every month. But in return, it's like 16 to 18% increase in my retirement yearly. So we kind of sat down and figured it out with a fiduciary plan or whatever they're called. And we kind of found out that was probably a good move buying back that time. So
100%, because that's a whole nother story, but figure out what your time horizon is going to be at the earliest retirement you're eligible and work backwards from there. I know you said some personal finance stuff, and everybody, it's always good to polish what you're doing or seeing what other people's doing. Dan, my business partner, is big on Dave Ramsey. It changed his life, on a personal level. Take the time to read through some of that stuff, and get your personal finances squared away. That ultimately allows you to be able to invest in more stuff in the future, and it makes it all that much easier as you move forward. So again, I would say you spend some legitimate time. Believe me, I know you got some long nights on that medic unit to think, what am I doing here? And trying to figure that all out,
Yes, sir.
But all right, well, hopefully that helps. That helps.
Yeah, no, I just appreciate listening to what other people are achieving and what people are doing and seeing what you're doing. Obviously we have the same line of work, so it's just cool to see okay, a fireman can do these things, and it's like, it sounds silly, but it's kind of inspiring to see it and oh wow, this really is possible. I don't have to be some big wig at a company to be able to do this kind of thing. I can be a blue collar fireman and make it happen as well. So it's really cool to see you guys do this stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad we can help. It's just trying to get up and do the right thing every day, and you come from the right line of work that teaches you discipline. So hopefully that helps you, and you know where to find us, and stay safe out there, and we appreciate you sharing.
Thank you.
Yep. Hey, Nasir, I see your hands up. We're going to go to, I think Sean was next.
Okay.
What's up, guys? How are you?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. Sorry if you can't really see me. I'm in a dark living room at home. Sorry. Dude, goal setting. I think on the Reserve podcast with you and Jay earlier in the year, maybe last year, we talked about goal setting. And man, this is a conversation I'm a big fan of, to talk about these 10-year goals. If you guys, I think it was Jim Collins in one of his Good to Great books, he mentioned BHAGs. Remember these big, hairy, audacious goals? these big lofty things that almost frighten you, and I think they're awesome. So setting goals. So 2021, I kind of shifted my goals to, do I look as creepy, by the way, in this little image or in this big image as I do in this little one?
It's not necessarily the best look for you, but we're good with it. We know you're not a serial killer.
Oh, whatever. So anyway, I've got a 7-month-old upstairs sleeping, so I'm trying to keep it quiet. Anyhow, so 2021, I kind of shifted my acquisition goals in my rental portfolio to kind of prioritize stabilizing, take advantage of low interest rates, 30-year fixed institutional money in the market space. And so I focused on refinancing my portfolio, and that's been awesome this year. And to what Aaron was saying earlier, I kind of also took a bit of a shift away from my normal model to try my hand at short-term rentals. So I bought a place down in Ocean City as well. But I'm actually 6 months into working back a 7-year SMART goal. So back when my birthday was back mid-year, I decided, you know what, I'm going to set this big goal, this big BHAG, right? And it's a 7-year SMART goal that I've just reverse engineered, deconstructed, and I'm 6 months into it. And so, you know, I'm a goal setter. I love setting goals. I think that it's like when flipping houses, right? Like, start with the end in mind. Whatever the comps tell you to do, just do. And I'm just doing the same thing here, just letting my decisions all be made or influenced rather by those big goals.
Let me real quick piggyback off of what Chris was saying. How hard was it for you to set what you believe is a lofty 7-year goal?
How hard was it for me to set that goal today?
Do you think your 7-year goal is lofty enough? Right? Like that's kind of what I'm getting at. Do you think you set a big enough goal 7 years? Like, if you came back and watched this 7 years from now, do you think you would laugh and be like, damn, that's all I said? You know, like,
I hope so.
Yeah. So when you're writing down the 7-year goal, like, when you're like trying to get yourself all jazzed up, like, was it like, I need a private jet and I need this, I need that, and that's what I'm gonna write down, that's my 7-year goal? Or was it like, if I could just get to this, or if I could just get to that 7 years from now, I'd be golden? Like,
You know,
how'd you amp yourself up to come up with this insane 7-year goal for yourself?
so good question. You guys mentioned it earlier. So like you mentioned it earlier, I think it was. So how do you define those goals, or what is it? Health? Is it wealth? Is it whatever? Honestly, mine was per diem, right? I set $1 per day cash flow goal from 2 different portfolios that I want to be bringing me. You know, I just set $1 per day number and decided, well, what's it going to take based on my current averages and what I think to be realistic projections to actually hit this. And so, do I think it's lofty enough? Man, I'll be happy as hell if I hit it. You know that saying, shoot for the moon. If you fall short, you're still among the stars. I'll be happy as hell if I hit this thing. But to Jay's point earlier, and how H&B hit their 10-year goal in 3 years, it could very well be the case. But you know, it's hard to project out that far. It really, really is. But I just decided, what do I want my life to look like at 45 years old? And I've just decided to build that. That's what 7 years is for me from that goal. So that's all. That's how I came up with it.
Dude, it's so hard to project or so hard to think through, because it feels so unrealistic, right? Like, if you don't have any properties right now, like any properties, and you're like, hey, I want to buy 100 properties, because that's where you were originally, Ian, and you flew by that. But 100 properties and you have 0 right now, like, how is that even possible, right? But then you look back and you're like, well, really all that means is, because, you know, let's say that's your 10-year goal. You're not buying 10 a year to get to 100, right? Like, you might only need 2 your first year, and then 6 your next year, and then 15, right? Like, that's how this works. That's how the curve works. But when you break it down, and that's what we did with our business coach, of like, hey, because so this was going on, let's see, maybe 13 years ago. So we were in business. So we've been in business for 15 years, and we set the goal a few years into business. And it was our 10-year goal was to get to a $30 million portfolio, which, you know, that was our 10-year goal for that time. And we hit $30 million in a portfolio in about 3.5 years from that. But at the time, it felt super, super unrealistic. But as you're doing it, it does. I'll give you another example. You know, Chris and I were talking earlier today about, you know, setting up some Kitty Ross for our kids and things like that. And when you start any investment or you start any business venture, it's just not sexy, right? Like, you put away a few $100 a month or few $1,000, like it takes so darn long until the snowball really, really hits. And the way that we're going to set up these kitty Roths, and that's obviously a different conversation. Happy to talk to somebody offline about that if they're curious, but put in about $6,000 a year. Well, $6,000, great. Then they got $12,000, then, you know, plus interest and things like that. But, you know, it's a good amount of money, but it's not like retirement money, right? It's $6,000. That being said, you know, you put $6,000 a year in plus interest, when a kid's 0 or young, well, you know, do the math of what happens when they're 65 years old or 59 and a half years old, right? It's just little baby things that just get gigantic over time, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, you know, and again, it just goes back to what you're striving to do. Sean, thanks for sharing. Everybody so far, thanks for sharing. I think we're going to do 1 or 2 more, and you know, be respectful of everyone's time. Terry, I'm going to try to land this boat on time or get the plane to the dock on time. What is it? But either way, let's.
I want to hear Terry's one. We'll go with Nazir first, but I want to hear Terry's.
Oh, we're putting Terry on the spot. All right, Nazir first. Let's go. I feel like we're running a radio show. Nasir, you there? Do we have the right line? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. It's a really great topic. I follow you guys for the last 3-4 months on all the meetups, and it's really cool. I'm in my 20s. I'm trying to buy my first house, but instead of buying a house, I'd like to buy an apartment building. I work as an engineer, so I'm saving towards buying an apartment building, which would be about 3 to 4 units. I'd like to have the capital ready by the end of next year, 2022, and then have that apartment building, live in one and rent out the other 2. Or if I get 4, live in one and rent out the other 3. So that's my goal. I usually write down my goals on sticky notes, put it on my desk, and then I see it on a regular basis. Perfect. And as you guys mentioned earlier, it's magical. You know, if you look at it on a daily basis and after the end of the year, even though at the beginning when you write it down, it seems impossible. But then you realize at the end of the year, you do accomplish, and sometimes you accomplish more than what you have written down.
Yeah, I think a lot of us don't take the time to, number one, look back to see what we completed, and number 2, to celebrate what we completed. You know, there's a lot of deals of people on this room that I know that they've completed, and I don't ever remember going to a celebration dinner. I do remember riding in the desert on a ATV, but seriously, no, I don't think a lot of us take the time to celebrate, because it becomes, oh, well, I did that. That was my job, you know, and it loses its effect. But when you buy a cash flowing asset or issue money on a new note or whatever it is, and you start producing dividends, you should celebrate that, right? Like, she bring up a really good point, that those little Post-it notes eventually turn into a big book. That's kind of what I took away from you, you know, and I think that's awesome.
I had a question for you guys. So
sure.
Because I'm really new I'm in my 20s. I'm probably much younger than most of you on the group right now. I was wondering, instead of buying a house, if I were to buy an apartment building, like the 3 to 4 unit, would that be a better investment at this point in my life? What do you guys think? I really appreciate any suggestions.
You know, we'll field some comments from the group. If anyone has comments for Nasir, what do you think he should do? But, you know, in the end, I think most people on here would tell you what you're most comfortable with. You know, you could do the same thing through a house hack, right? Do you want people to be that close to you? Is an apartment make you feel more comfortable? Can you see the value in the cash flow long term? What's the future use of that property? I don't think anyone here can give you the direct answer. However, I do think you're probably on a better direction to do it that way, if you're looking to do real estate long term.
It also depends on the resources that you have. I mean, yes. Are you, you know, do you have the cash to buy all of it? Or are you looking to get a bank loan and put up money for the rest, or raise private capital? I mean, listen, if you're like, hey, I've got $1 million liquid right now, go for a higher asset class immediately. If you know, I don't really have much money at all, and you know, I'm going to scramble to come up with $10,000, then you're probably going to have to start smaller and work your way up. But most real estate investors eventually, or anybody who owns assets in general, they climb the ladder, the asset ladder. They trade up, right? Because there's only so much a single family house can produce in rent. And typically the smaller assets, the lower cost assets, they end up being more of a pain in the neck. Anyways, right? Ian could buy 10 single family houses, or he could buy one 10-unit apartment building. And that one 10-unit apartment building is going to probably spit out better cash flow and have, 1/10 of the amount of headache and work. There's just so many benefits to get into higher and better asset classes, but not everybody can do it. Ian's been buying some self-storage stuff for a while, and I piggybacked off him, and I was really intrigued with the smaller stuff, right? I could wrap my brain around it more. It was a smaller amount of allocated capital I had to put into it with him. Like, it just made a lot of sense to me until we started buying some of them. And I was like, let's pick up the pace. Let's step it up. There's only so much we can make up off these particular deals. So that goes back to kind of where you're at and your resources of what you can kind of absorb and handle.
Yeah. And I'll give you a shameless plug. You check out equitywarehouse.com. We go through a couple of case studies, from single family up to multifamily units of how all that stuff worked, and the trials and tribulations that we went through investing in all those deals. So hopefully that stuff helps you out there,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. Well, we appreciate everybody and everything that's been shared. And I feel like we need to put Terry, Jason brings up a good point. Terry, if you don't mind, you want to jump on and share what your 2022 goal is going to be? Because you've gone through a major renovation inside your own business, and 2021 has been interesting for you. And I'd love to hear where 2022 is going to take you.
Yeah, I was just actually working on that. I can't say I've got them honed in.
Is that what's on your whiteboard behind you?
No, that's actually,
Gotcha.
Well, speaking on Ian's point, we were writing out all of the columns of the business and each role within it, between deal finding, deal closing, site operations, and internal operations, and assigning all of those to, like, just re-going through the basics, like the foundation, and making sure everybody knew where that fell, whether it was me, whether it was Kristen, whether it was one of our assistants. And it feels very elementary, but it was good because there's a lot of things were like, well, is that mine or yours? And that creates a lot of communication issues within the team. But yeah, for 2022, we're kind of honing in on that. I mean, we're in the process of, we just closed on a deal a month ago, and we're getting ready to close on 2 more in the next 2 weeks. And after that, we don't have any closings on the book, but I kind of wrote down middle of last year to have 300K net after all expenses from the deals we have, which I think is doable. And I think what we're going to do is start looking to either trade up. I don't know that I want to acquire more, like, unless it's like a screaming deal, but really just kind of working on like a lot of that and a lot of family stuff. So just working on my
Can I ask you something? Because I know guys in your other groups like to beat up on you about your vision board. And I'm like you. It's for me to sit down and cut out a bunch of pictures and build a vision board. It's not for me. But out of like creating a vision board mentally, like, what do you look for? Do you have like certain pillars that you try to fill up? Whether it's life, physical fitness, monetary. Like, how do you handle each one of your pillars and analyze what goals you want for the upcoming year?
No, I think that's a great point. But I had a coaching call with Wagner the other day, mostly around storage, but it turned to that, and that's what I wrote down. Don't try to zoom in there, Ian. But it was, around my kids, my relationship with my wife, health, and business. And so I think what a lot of people do for business is KPIs, but what we don't do for all the other things are KPI. Like, health is the next easiest one, right? But like, really have a KPI around every different thing. So yeah, that's what I'm really trying to do for this year. Like with my kids, like I wrote down, lead and influence my kids without using fear or negative energy. That way I can reinforce trust with them, right? So what would be a KPI around that? Did I get in an argument with my kids this week? So going down the
Yeah.
rabbit hole. I know you're picking at me a little bit to throw me on the spot, but I'm an open book, man. I'll throw it out there.
No, but if you figure out how to do that, let me know, because I suck at it too, right? Like, and those are all things that we struggle with. And I think a lot of us don't take the time to realize that our business affects our personal life, and our personal life affects our business, and everything's synonymous. You know, and it's hard to manage both sides of that, because I think everyone gets so all business heavy, or they might get all, you know, like you say, the pendulum swings, right? And which way is it going? So you bring up interesting points, and I might have to go rearrange some of my goals. I might just have to copy off you.
So when we were working with our first, that earlier coach that helped us hit our 10-year goal, we used to have pillars as well. I was just trying to go on Google Drive to see what they were called. We didn't call them we didn't call them pillars, but you know, mine was personal, family, business, and then finance, personal finance, because personal finance and business, to me, were very unique. You know, they didn't overlap. And then, you know, family was all in one, and then personal, that was also the time that, you know, I got a lot better at golf. I was thinking back to this, because it wasn't just business that, you know, we hit big goals. It was personal stuff that we hit big goals, you know, with this business coach. And keep in mind, most business coaches, you know, their secret sauce is just listening to you talk and, you know, trying for you to have that big aha moment or that epiphany. It's all about having epiphanies. And it's like, well, how do you want to do that? You know, like one of my things was running. I freaking hate running, but like I always had on my goal sheet, like I'd run and I'd meet with him, you know, on a regular basis. It's like, how's that going? It's like, I couldn't check that off my checklist because I didn't do it. He was like, hey, this is the third time this happened. Maybe this isn't as important to you as you think it is. Right. So the whole goal setting thing is interesting, but the vision board is as well. I mean, I created a crappy vision board. I always wanted to make a really cool vision board as well, along those pillars. But no, I mean, I don't think anyone should give anybody a hard time about it. I think that's how it works, and that's how goals are hit. Like everyone who's like, oh, my goals are in my head, that's bull crap. Like you can't have goals in your head. It doesn't work. You put them out there, you talk about them regularly, you share them with your business partner or like-minded person or a colleague, you write them down, you look at them daily, weekly, monthly, regularly. And I hate to say it, but like it's magic. It happens.
Yeah, 100%.
And you break it down to like what needs to occur on a regular basis. And keep in mind, if your goal is to buy, you know, one house by the end of this year, well, chances are the only task you need to be doing tomorrow is probably making like one phone call, probably one phone call to a real estate agent and ask him if they have any inventory, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very little stuff. It doesn't matter how big your goal is. It's very, very, very little accountable action taking things you have to do, you know, tomorrow in order to hit that.
And I think everybody on here is self-reflection is probably one of the hardest things to accomplish. We were talking today in the gym, me, Dan, and our trainer, is that we were talking about Rob Deerdick, and he self-reflects every single day and checks all of his boxes. And that guy's like insane. I can't do it. Self-reflection is like really hard to really go back and really, really dig deep. I mean, it's all easy for us just to stay busy with these damn phones and everything else, all the noise out there, rather than taking the time and the pit stop to figure it out. And speaking of which, I know there's some stuff going on over in the chat. Randy was asking if anybody has any good recommendations or a link on how to, you know, for goal setting, if anyone knows any good goal setting platforms, websites. There's a couple good books over there that help you with these things. Me personally, podcasts. I feel like, you know, listen to Rob Deerdick, you know, Andy Frisella from 75 Hard, some of his long form podcasts, stuff like that. Just, it really helps you get in the right mindset, and that drive to work. That's take time to reflect, turn the music off, take a listen, talk to yourself, whatever you got to do. That's where I got a long commute. Everyone makes fun of me, but that hour from Cecil County down to Baltimore is my time to think, to decompress, to think about my goals, to work through things. catch up with people, whatever it may be to help me excel towards my goal. So, but either way, I got to say thank you for everyone that shared. Keep this conversation going. Hopefully people made connections in here, found accountability partners. I think, if we do a follow-up episode, I'd really be interested to see where everyone stands 6 months or a year from now. Your goals are like your budget. They're always changing. It's a dynamic thing. Every month, every 6 months, every year, you should be reflecting on what your goals are, what they were, and where you want them to go. So, Jay, you got anything else before we run?
I do got to give a quick plug to our sponsor, Union Brewing. They came by our office with a bunch of the Ed Reed goat beer that just came out. I don't know what liquor stores or beer stores have them. I personally don't like IPAs, so they're not that good to me. But if you like IPAs, you'll like them. So we'll be circling back third Wednesday of January again. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope everybody enjoyed this topic. It's a topic that I know me and myself, Ian, his partner Dan, my partner Chris talk about and think about all the time. It's a good topic. Hopefully you hit those, start those 2022 goals. And, if anyone wants to hop on our podcast, Real Estate Reserve podcast up in the upcoming year and just reflect on what their goal was and where they currently are, that'd be great. Feel free. Happy to chat with you about that to see where it is. And, we can hold each other accountable for our goals.
And real quick, tomorrow we're interviewing a professional skateboarder turned real estate investor, and the guy's doing some really cool stuff. And there'll be a lot of good conversations related to everything we talked about today about getting started, personal finance, all those good things. So look forward to you guys, and you know where to find us. So thank you to everyone.
It's not Rob Dyrdek tomorrow, but it's one step closer to interviewing him.
Yep. That's our